Hi, it's Kieran Lobates here, and video 3 in a series that I've called Ledgers and Layers. Now, in the previous two videos, I talked a bit about the fact that blockchains are effectively ledgers, and that on smart contract blockchains, when you create a token, you're creating a ledger within a ledger in order to keep track of that particular token. And today I want to talk a bit about this layers part that I was talking about. So the fact is that blockchains are arbitrary in the sense that the universe hasn't decreed that they have to be the way they are. We as human beings have defined them as we see fit. However, there is a difference between the definition of the base layer of the blockchain and then what we do on top of it. And this is why I'm using the term layers. So the community has decided that Bitcoin has a certain set of properties. Occasionally, factions within the community disagree, and then they peel off and you end up with a blockchain fork and a group going off making a different blockchain based on the original architecture with some of the parameters tweaked or changed. On Ethereum, you can deploy a smart contract to do whatever it is that you want to do, which is often to instantiate a ledger on top of the Ethereum ledger. And the fact is that that ledger can have different properties to the underlying ledger on which it's built. Now, I may have lost you guys there a bit, but basically the base layer of a blockchain is kind of fixed as far as things go when you're a developer. But if you're on a smart contract blockchain, then you can start instantiating your own version of a ledger where you can make those changes. And that should mean that Ethereum is actually less prone to forks than Bitcoin, because there's more flexibility due to the smart contract system for developers to make tweaks and changes to the way things operate. And that means that although the vast majority of ERC20 tokens out there behave in the same way, some of them can have different properties. And these are sometimes used for good, and sometimes they're used for evil, because some people deploy ERC20 tokens which on the surface look like they are the same as any other ERC20 token, just with a different name, but they may have changed, for example, the underlying transfer function so that when you transfer the token, it doesn't do what you expect. For example, it may take a percentage off you, or it could even be that the person who deployed the ERC20 contract can at will seize the tokens, i.e. they can go into the ledger that records the balances of ERC20 tokens against various addresses, and they can arbitrarily change that. So now you've lost the decentralized nature of the traditional ERC20 contract, and the malicious developer has stepped in and created a contract that gives them ultimate control over the whole thing. And sometimes there are companies that implement contracts like this where they've done this and it's known, and yet everybody's okay with it. The example that springs to mind is Tether. Tether has the option to freeze assets as and when they see fit, which kind of goes against the spirit of decentralization, because it gives Tether the same kind of control over your Tether balance as a bank has over your bank balance. If the government tells the bank to freeze the assets of a known criminal or a suspected criminal, the bank can go and do that, and you as an individual can't do anything about that. That is a form of censorship. And one of the ideas behind centralized, or rather decentralized blockchains, is that they overcome this censorship, that because there's no one entity in control, nobody can step in and lock your tokens or freeze your crypto assets. As you can see from the previous example I gave, that's not always the case. And now I've got a bit distracted from my original discussion about layers, but I think that this is actually a useful digression for us to move on to video 4, where I will dig into this concept of layers, and in particular how arbitrary or how standardized various things are at these different layers in the blockchain world. I hope you're finding this series interesting. I look forward to seeing you in the next video soon. Bye for now.